In this video, we're going to talk about metabolism in sort of this broad sense. I want to talk about the sort of equation that we have with calories in and calories out. Now, calories out is basically calories burned, and that comes from basically your base metabolic rate, so how many calories you're burning at rest if you were to do nothing, the NEAT, the non-exercise activity, and also your exercise. So those are the three categories where we can burn calories. And then obviously our calorie sources is what we eat. That comes from fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and even alcohol. And so each of those categories we'll talk more in detail in other videos, but the basics that we want to cover today is your body is trying to maintain a balance. It's trying to stay in sort of this homeostasis. So if you're eating way more than what you're burning, your body's going to try to find a way to balance that as much as possible, right? It doesn't want to gain weight necessarily, and on the other side, it doesn't necessarily want to lose weight either. So we have to play with this equation in order to achieve our goals, because our body is constantly trying to stay the same. So if you are sedentary and you're not getting a lot of activity, exercise or non, your body gets used to this sort of low level of activity, and as a result, your metabolism is going to be low. You're going to require less calories in, and so your body's adapting to the situation that you give it. On the other side of the equation, the calories you take in, your body's also adapting to that as well. So if you are under eating, if you're providing yourself not enough calories than what you need day in and day out, your body's thinking, oh, I have to adapt to this and find this new balance point. So it's going to start lowering your base metabolic rate as well to try to match the demands with the input. And so you can see how this can create a problem for weight loss. If we're trying to reduce our calories over and over again, our body's going to continue to adapt to a lower amount of caloric burn in order to maintain that balance. And so depending on where we are, we may need to play with our intake of calories to reset our metabolism. And that's where tracking comes in. It's really important when you're getting started with whatever your goals are, whether it be weight gain, muscle gain, fat loss, or just maintaining a healthy weight or changing your body composition. It's important to know where you're at and how many calories it currently takes you to maintain the weight that you're at. So I suggest tracking for 5 to 7 days. It doesn't have to be consecutive, but I want to get a snapshot of what you're doing and how your body's responding. So it's not changing anything. You want to write down everything that you eat and try to get a good, accurate count of how many calories you're taking in order to figure out where is your kind of metabolic rate on average each day. Once you have that, we can determine what we need to do as far as like timing your meals, because your body adapts to the timing, and healing your metabolism if it needs to be healed. Because if you're already only eating 1,500 calories or less and you try to cut, that really doesn't leave you a whole lot of wiggle room. It's really hard to sustain a diet that you're taking in less than 1,500 calories a day. So we may need to increase your caloric intake to allow your body to kind of respond to that before we cut back. And on the other side, if you're trying to gain muscle mass, you might benefit from periods of time where you go into this caloric deficit and then rebound again with giving yourself more than enough calories in order to build that extra muscle. So again, your body is adapting to what you give it. If you're giving it more calories than it needs, it's going to try to build muscle. It's going to try to, up the metabolism to meet those needs, and it doesn't like waste and it doesn't like imbalance, right? It also adapts to the types of sources that you're giving it. So if you're giving it a lot of carbohydrates constantly, it's going to adapt to that and crave carbohydrates on a regular basis. If you're giving it fats, it's going to learn how to better use fat for fuel, and that's something for weight loss that we like to tap into. And then protein, it can use when it needs to for energy, right? Normally protein is used for building blocks and things like that, which we'll get to in another video. But that's what I want you to think about today. Where is your balance right now? Figuring it out by tracking your meals for 5 to 7 days, and then emailing me or posting about that, and we can talk through what you need to do. If you're already at a healthy place, we can start to tweak your calories and your exercise and your non-exercise and everything in order to meet your goals. So post any questions you have, and I hope that helps.